My name is Mary, and here are my children, Kofi and Amina. I'm a cashew farmer and own this cashew farm. The knowledge that I gained from original project of GIZ called GIZ Move, which works for sustainable and competitive value chain of cashew, has helped us to better understand the processes involved in cashew production, such as weeding, harvesting, drying, storing, and selling to the factory. This has increased our income, and I can also pass on the knowledge received to my children and other members of the community. If you want to find out how we achieve such a success, join me as I take you through some good agricultural practices on harvest and post-harvest activities, on cashew production, and how I sell the cashew products for more income. We are currently on Memune's farm. It's looking all cleaned up. Tell us, how did you manage to get rid of the weeds on such a big farm?
You are welcome, Mary. Well, obviously, with the dry season approaching, I'm too old to bend and weed such a big farm. I sometimes rely on labor hire, mostly youths in the community, to weed for me. In the absence of that, we hire the services of semi-mechanized or mechanized machines like brush cutters or tractors to weed the farm. This happens on farms that are well spaced. My last option, if all these are not available, will be to use authorized agrochemicals like weedicides, using professional service providers who will follow recommended practices.
Thank you for the information. Bye.
Bye.
That's Kojo, also busy weeding. Kojo has a particular reason for weeding around the cashew trees this afternoon.
Hi, I am weeding my cashew farm so that when the cashew fruits drop, it will be easy to see and pick them to avoid making losses. Also, I will not have any issues of weeds competing for nutrients with cashew and prevent insect pests from making their nests in my farm. As you can see, I have weeded and swept this portion to keep it clean. This way, none of the dropping fruits will go missing, so we will be able to sell more cashews and make more money.
Oh, nice. I see the cleanliness will also help prevent bushfires.
Yes, talking about bushfires, let me show you my neatly constructed fire belt around my farm. The fire belt really prevents fire from getting close to my farm. To get good protection, I construct a 10-meter wide fire belt. This you can easily measure by taking a 10-step wide approximately with your feet. This way, when there is any bushfire, you have nothing to worry about.
Okay, thank you very much. This has been so insightful. Bye.
I am very happy you came by. Bye.
We are here on Al Hassan's farm to educate us on good fruit collection practices.
We collect the fruits once they start dropping from the trees. We collect them one by one from the ground and put them in a basket.
So why don't you pluck the ones from the trees, but rather collect the ones from the ground?
Cashew is not like mango, so you must wait for it to drop before harvesting. However, if the primary purpose of harvesting the fruit is the apples for commercial consumption, like juices, jam, honey, etc., it's advisable to pluck them when they are ripe on the tree, since those ones would have no bruises or contamination.
How often do you collect the fruits, and how do you separate the nuts from the apple?
Every 2 or 3 days. Let me show you how the separation is done. To separate the apple from the nut, we use a string or a thread so that there would be no portions of the fruit left on the nut. The string is preferred to just pulling out the nut because it makes the nut nice, and with that, the nut does not get spoiled. If you want a clean looking nut, watch closely and see if there are no portions of the fruit at the ends of the nut after separation. Let me demonstrate how it's effectively done. Hold the string, put the wood under your foot, then wrap the thread around the area that connects the nut to the apple once and pull out the nut just like this. Simple. Note that whilst you are doing the separation, please take out any immature, diseased, shriveled, and damaged nuts.
Wow. So what happens to the apples after you separate the nuts?
In the past, we used to sell apples at a low cost and sometimes throw them away since we wanted only the nuts. After being sensitized by the GIZ Move project, we can add value to the apples and process them into apple juice, jam, etc. or other side products. This enables us to earn more money.
As we heard, unfortunately, most of the farmers do not focus on apples, which stand at a great loss due to a lot of benefits that comes with the apples. I will take you through some of the uses of these apples and benefits. The cashew apple is highly nutritious, but unlike most tree crops, it is non-climacteric. That is, it ripens on the tree before you can pluck or harvest it. Once plucked, the apples should be detached from the nuts, washed with salt or vinegar or any food preservative, and stored in an aerated plastic box or basket as against their conditions, whether whole, broken, or bruised. It has many uses, some of which include animal feeds, manure, industrial ethanol, cosmetics. Note: these products are peculiar to the apples that are bruised or broken. For the whole apples, they are mostly used for juices, honey, kebabs, stew, burgers, soup, etc. Finally, I would like you to know that the more you consume the apples, the more you increase your vitamin C level, since it has 5 times vitamin C compared to oranges and 12 times compared to pineapples. You've educated me on how to best separate the apples from the nuts. Thank you so much. Hello, Alhassan. What are you doing?
I'm drying my cashew nuts.
Why are you drying your nuts on the tarpaulin?
The harvested cashew nuts are dried on the tarpaulin to make sure the nuts do not get dirty.
So why don't you dry it in the sun but rather under the tree?
If the sun shines directly on the nuts, the oil gets into the kernel, thereby spoiling it. So, you must always make sure you dry them in the warmth so the sun does not fall directly on them. Drying usually takes 3 or 4 days with frequent turning to ensure uniform drying.
How do you know if they are dry?
By spreading your hands in between the nuts, you hear the rattling sound.
Is there any other way the nuts can be dried?
Yes, you can dry it on concrete floors. For good drying and cleaning practices, I ensure that the surface of the concrete floor is very smooth and clean. This way, dirt cannot mix with the nuts, and it's easy to remove foreign materials between the nuts. Remember, cashew nuts do not like the sun. If the sun shines directly on the nuts, the oil gets into the kernel, thereby destroying it.
How do you know the nut is dry?
Here in my left hand are some nuts dried for 4 days, and in the right hand, 1 day dry nut. The difference is the rattling sound upon shaking. You hear the difference now? This sounds much louder, meaning they are dried well. Even tomorrow, I will be selling some of them to earn money.
Talking about selling it, how do you store the nuts when you are certain they are dried and ready to be sold?
After drying, I keep the dried nuts in jute sacks.
Why jute sacks, Memuna, and not any other plastic sack or containers like a box?
Jute sacks allows for adequate ventilation of the nut as compared to plastic sacks or boxes.
It's time to know more about storage. Let us go.
Before storage, the sack of cashew nuts is weighed.
80 kilos.
Alright, let's send it inside to show you how we store our cashews in the warehouse. Mary, do you see the high ceiling? This will protect the jute sacks from rainfall.
So if you already have the high ceiling, then why the need for the pallets?
I place the jute sacks on wooden pallets that are placed 1.5 meters apart and raised 20 to 30 centimeters above the ground and from the rooftop. This is to make provision for walkways and ventilation, because if the jute sacks are left barely on the ground, heat will destroy my nuts.
Memuna, thank you so much for the education.
I hear a car coming. That might be the processor. Mary, this is the gentleman we have been expecting from the factory, Mr. Kulibali, the buyer.
How many bags are you selling today?
About 100 bags.
Can you show me a sample? The nuts are very big. As you can see, before we buy the nuts, we do a quality test called the kernel out-turn ratio. So we first crack the nuts using a nut cracker to find out whether the nuts are good or not. If you buy the nuts without a quality test, you might only find out during the processing phase that the nuts do not have good quality, and then you make a loss.
So do you think this is the right quality?
Yes, indeed, these nuts have a high quality.
So now that we have seen how they test the quality of the nuts, let's proceed to the factory to see what goes on over there. As we head to the factory, let me mention how to identify good quality nuts. The nuts with the white kernels are good and wholesome. The nuts that have premature kernels are not wholesome. It makes the traders run at a loss. The nuts with black spotted kernels must be eliminated. When the nuts are in the sun for a long time, the nuts become yellow and oily. Such nuts must be eliminated. If the nuts are not dried properly in a humid storage, the kernels become moldy. Such nuts must be eliminated. If the kernels are not grown properly, that is, they lack water during growth, the cashew nut becomes empty. Such nuts must also be eliminated. Now we've arrived at the factory where we see the cashew being sent inside for further processing. Now the farmers are being paid. The price depends on the quality test of the nuts as well as the nut sizes. We would like to ask all of you farmers that anytime Agric Extension officers call on you, go with excitement to listen to some of the teachings on cashews. This will help you to increase your production and improve the quality of your nuts, as well as enable you to have a stable income and live a good life. I hope this tour around the different cashew farms has been able to convince you of the benefit of adopting good agricultural practices for cashew harvest and post-harvest, and that now you are more open to the idea of diversifying cashew production to develop other new cashew products for more income. We look forward to welcoming you to our farms again next time. Thank you and goodbye.